Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining today's session. My name is Irina, and I'm the event planner for the Redmond Reactor space. Before we get started, I have a few things to go over. Please take a moment to read our code of conduct. We seek to provide a respectful environment for both our audience as well as our presenter. We encourage engagement in the chat, but please be mindful of your commentary, remain professional, and on topic. Useful links will also be shared in the chat. This session is recorded and will be available on demand in 24 to 48 hours on the Microsoft Reactor YouTube channel. Which brings us to today's session. The session will run approximately 1 hour to an hour and a half with time for questions throughout. And I'll now turn it over to our speaker for introductions.
Hey, hello there. Good evening to everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're watching from. Welcome to our session on Windows Subsystem for Linux. The support for Linux inside Windows, and we have a very packed hour in front of us, full of demos. Let's do a brief introduction here. My name is Armando Lacerda. I'm a developer in recovery. I've been a developer for the beginning of my career. I've developed multiple applications in multiple environments. And I started dedicating my career or refocusing my career into the data engineering. And guess what? In data engineering, we still develop. We still use Python. We use new languages that I was not aware of, like Scala, when I first learned a few years ago. And there is a lot of Linux in there too, because in big data, we see a lot of Linux support in there, a lot of systems and solutions based on Unix, generic Unix system. So even though I'm more into the data engineering side of things, the developer side of me still lives. I'm also a Microsoft MVP and a Microsoft MCT, which means that Microsoft has awarded me with the MVP title, meaning I love to do what I'm doing now, sharing what I know with the community on my local user group here in the Bay Area, living in California, and also many places throughout the world, and conferences and all of that. And MCT means I'm a Microsoft certified trainer. I've been training or delivering training for individuals and for companies on Microsoft official curriculum for a very, very long time. I also got a few certifications. If you want to learn a little bit more about me, you can connect with me through LinkedIn. Just search my name there, Armando Lacerda. You're going to find me on LinkedIn. I love to expand my social network over there. It's usually where I'm more active in terms of technology in my profession. And if you have questions, if you're watching this online, the recording, if you're watching this on the recording later, and if you have questions, please go ahead and connect with me on LinkedIn and send me a message there with your question. I can direct you to groups where we can discuss your question as a group. And you're going to have not just my knowledge, but the collective wisdom of the group, right? There are, Stack Overflow is there. All of those groups, they are great for that as well. You can find me on Twitter. I don't tweet much. Usually my Twitter is an echo of what happens on LinkedIn. And Facebook's more for personal stuff. If you want to see me riding my motorcycle, my jet ski here in Lake Berries, you're going to find me there. All right. So what we have for tonight, what we have for this session, it's the goal of this session. Of course, you're going to have an introduction there, but the goal of this session is not just to go over with you on a particular topic, which is the Windows Subsystem for Linux that exists inside Windows, and understand what it is and what it does for you. It's not just that, but also get you hooked to a Microsoft resource that's out there that not that many people are aware of, which is super cool, which is this one here, Microsoft Learn. Microsoft Learn is a collection of learning paths that Microsoft has made available on their website, the Microsoft Learn website. And it's the official Microsoft training. Remember, I told you just in my introduction, I'm a Microsoft certified trainer. We used to have these big books where we give these books in the classroom so we can study from the book and do exercise on the computer. Nowadays, Microsoft is getting all of that content for free online on Microsoft Learn. So everything you need to, every official learning material and curriculum you're going to find out there from Microsoft. It's going to be there. And tonight, we're going to use one of those learning paths, which is this particular one for Windows Subsystem for Linux. So the goal here in our agenda is to introduce you to the topic and also to show you how easy it is to learn from that environment. So all my demos, all my instructions will be based on that site. So I want to make sure that you are comfortable and understand how to use the website, how to use the resource, so you can do it on yourself on your own time later. Everything I'm gonna do in here, you can do on your own computer later. All right. So we're gonna have an introduction on what is the WSL. We're gonna see how to get it going for you, how to enable it in your workstation. See what kind of integration there is in between the hosting Windows environment and the Linux file system, because the Linux subsystem is working, it's writing files to the disk, so they share these things. We're gonna see how that works, and then we're gonna have some fun. We're gonna create a very simple website using Node.js in Linux, using the Linux subsystem. So we're going to do development in Linux. So in a way, this particular session here is targeted to developers. That's why I showed my developer side, the developer side of me. And so we're going to do a simple one. We're going to install Node environment. We're going to see how to download the packages into the Windows environment. And at the end, we're going to do some dev environment. We're going to set up the dev environment with a better user interface using Visual Studio Code, all right? And see some debugging techniques if time permits. So that's what we have for tonight. Let's get straight into it. I see some activity in the chat window. If you have any questions as we move along, you can go ahead and pop them up in the chat window. I will go back from time to time. I'm going to switch there. I got 2 monitors here, so I'm going to switch there and take a look on questions. If I see a question mark in there, I will look at it throughout the session and at the end as well. So when we get Windows 10 or 11, depending on what you're doing, I have Windows 11 on my laptop here, and I set up a virtual machine up in the cloud for us for this session, which is running Windows 10. So if you're running Windows 10 or Windows 11, let me see if I can do this. We are usually not aware. Most people are not aware of this side here that my hand is hiding, and most people are using Windows this way, right? This is the regular way of using Windows. You get the Windows user mode with the graphic user interface where our applications run, PowerPoint and Word and Zoom, Teams, whatever you're doing, browsers. They all run here in Windows user mode, and they communicate with the Windows NT kernel. Yes, it's still an evolution of Windows NT, but it is still named Windows NT under the hood. So get all the APIs, all the communication that is on the Windows Hall and all of that. And it talks to the hypervisor that gives access to the underlying hardware. This is Windows. This is the regular way of using Windows. What we are talking about here and focus on this particular session is this extension that exists, this side in here, which is the ability to run a Unix code on a Windows environment. Actually, it's like in a VM. See the actual design here, this graphic that I collect from the internet, which you put in here. This design here tells you that this is actually a virtualization element going on in here. So it's not like Windows, Linux running on top of Windows. It's a Unix environment, a Linux environment, virtualized, running on top of the hypervisor that has the ability to communicate with the Windows environment. They have the ability to talk to each other. So I can see the files from one to another. I can call commands from one to another. They can interchange. You can switch from one environment to another. But the bottom line is the Linux kernel, a particular edition of the Linux kernel, you come to choose which one you want to have, can be installed and made available. And then you can run your CLI, your command line interface, on top of that Linux kernel on the same environment. So you don't need a VM. You don't need a full-blown VM. You don't need to enable Hyper-V and install a VM from scratch to have Linux using there. You can use Windows Linux on as not containerized. I'm going to use container for another thing in a second, but as a separated environment, as an isolated environment, parallel side by side with the Windows environment. So that opens up a lot of possibilities specifically for developers, but in general for anybody that needs to run some particular package, some particular application that exists only for Unix, Unix-like, right? Generic Unix, only for Linux. A good example of that one, of a case like that, if my mouse works, a good example of that is this guy here. You probably have heard about this one, right? This is the logo for Docker, right? Docker is a software house that is that made a particular technology super popular called containers. So there is a technology called containers, and there is a software house. There is a software solution called Docker, which is this logo here, that runs containers, right? The whole thing about Docker is create containers and run containers. What are containers? You may ask, right? What are containers? Well, that's a little beyond what the goal for this particular session here, but containers is, in a nutshell, it's another way. It's not a replacement for VMs, but it's another way to virtualize applications, not virtual machines, not full-blown VMs, but specifically applications and all the application dependencies when the application can be delivered as isolated binaries in a file system, in a subset, in a folder and subfolders. No deep dependency on operational system resources like registry in Windows, for instance, right? In Unix, there is no registry, so that dependency doesn't happen. So the idea is to get your application and pack your application on a deliverable element that can run on an isolated environment. Feels like a virtualized environment, but it's not really a virtual machine. It's just an isolated environment where your application can run. Now, this technology, and by the way, the whole cloud thing you see out there, a lot of those cloud technologies that there is out there today, they are heavily dependent on this technology, on containers, right? Not Docker in particular, because there are multiple software houses out there also supporting the container idea, the container standard. But Docker is one of them, of course. And so the point is, what you see, the whole idea of these keywords you see, these hot words you see out there, buzzwords like scalability and the ability and load balancing and high availability. All of those, a lot of this is being implemented as containers, a solution nowadays, specifically based on Kubernetes platform. Back to the subject in here. This is important to the topic, which is Windows Subsystem for Linux, the Windows support for Linux, because this technology container, it works based on a Unix environment. You gotta have a Unix environment if you want to have containers. So the point here is you should be interested in learning about how to do some Linux support inside your Windows desktop. Not just if you are a developer and you want to create a website based on some generic Linux website host like Nginx, but you may also be interested in start developing applications that will be packaged into containers. In some other day, some session, we go into this and see how the containers will work with this. But bottom line is, if you want to have containers, if you want to install Docker on a Windows machine, you have to have the Linux subsystem enabled. Otherwise, it doesn't work, because according to the documentation, and here's a link, if you want to screenshot that link there, here's a link for it. In order to run the whole Docker idea, the Docker registry is up there on the web, But in order to run your Docker host, it will always communicate through the elements of your Docker solution through the Linux subsystem. If your Linux subsystem is not there, or if you're not running on a native Linux environment, it will just not work, right? So bottom line, if you need to use Docker, you're gonna need that. If you need to develop for Unix from your Windows workstation, and you don't want to have another computer, buy a Mac or buy something else, put a VM on the cloud just for that, you gotta have the Windows subsystem there for you. So I hope that drives the point why it's important, why this is valuable, and you really want to go dive into and get this thing working for you, right? So before I go into the demos, I think my next slide here is start doing the hands-on part of this session. Let me take a look here and see if there are any questions. So Irina is already putting there the link for the content that I'll be presenting. So make sure that you save that link in there. Where's my mouse here? You make sure you save that link in there, so you can do the exercise later on your own. Let me see. Just saying hello all. Okay, no questions so far. And the last post in there, Irina just post there for us the link for the content I will be demonstrating from now on. All right, there we go, and on the screen too. Thank you, Irina. Again, if you have questions, please type them on your browser there, and it should pop up in here. For those who said hi, hi everybody. All right, let's switch to the VM. So, like I said, I have created a virtual machine up in the cloud for us, and I just click on the link that Irina shared on the chat window there, guys. And this is where you're gonna land. So to make this more focused on the content, I'm gonna put myself small here on the corner, and we're gonna go and check this out together. This website here, by the way, is the Microsoft Learn website that I mentioned to you before. This is if you let me open another tab in here just quick. If you go Microsoft. If I can type Microsoft.com/learn, you get to the main page of Microsoft Learn, and in here you're gonna see this learning paths, my path, learning paths. There are multiple learning paths in here. Here you can see a lot of modules and a lot of topics, and you can do browsing, you can filtering. You can browse them all. You can filter. You can do a lot of selection here to try to get to the specific content you're looking for. One of the things that because I forgot to mention that I live here in California, but I'm from Brazil, and I'm also presenting these things in Portuguese. If you by any chance would like to see this content translated to any other language, you can just change this URL here to your language code, and it should go right away, right? It should do an automatic translation. For instance, let's see, you are in UK, and you want to see this on with all the adaptations, all the variants for the British English. If you just change the coding there, that did not work. I think it's GB. I made me stop that over there. Let's try it again. Nah, it did not work either. But just to show it works, I probably am using the wrong code in there. If you do here, like in Portuguese, it gets it in. No, that's not going to work whatsoever. Let's try this one here. Okay. Let's try this again. Add to that option in there, and again, let's get a code in here. There we go. Translated to Portuguese on the fly. And let's try that English again. Perhaps there was something on the main page there. I don't know. Let's try that English. GB. Yeah, that's probably not the right code for Great Britain, but there is a way to translate these things. All right. So just look for your code here, and we'll translate it for you. You will find a lot of learning paths on the main website, and the link that Arena just shared with you on the chat window will get you here. So as you can see, it's pretty much the same content that I said it will be our agenda. We're going to go over the same points in here. I'm going to do control click when this starts, just because if something happens, I want to go back to this page super quick, right? So I'm just going to open it on another tab. A pro tip here for you is I highly recommend you to sign in if you have an Outlook account, a Hotmail account, not a corporate account, right? A company's account, but your personal account. If you have one, or if you would like to create one and sign in with that one, because every time you complete one of these steps, you get these points. You see 100 points in here, XP, so extra points, 100 points. You get points as you move along this content. And as you collect points and you close, you finish learning paths, you get badges. Like Microsoft is kind of tracks your development, as you improve here, as you go along in the paths. And as you complete those paths, they give you these badges. It's not a certification, of course, right? Certification is something else, but it gives you this, which shows that you have studied, you have been through the content, and you have practiced the elements in there. So just a good tip, right? Just for yourself, so you can keep track of what you have seen, and also collect those badges. It's super cool. I collect them all the time. All right, let's keep going here. So I'm not going to read any of this, of course, right? Because you can read this on your own time. There's a lot of information here. This is just the intro, the hello world of the content itself. Sorry, the hello world of the content itself. And in here is how the first step in here is how you start enabling your Windows Subsystem environment. So yeah, after reading the whole thing in there, I already mentioned to you, right? There is a particular Windows Subsystem kernel, and then you get your user mode, which will be whatever Linux flavor you want to have. But in order to have your Linux flavor or your Linux distribution installed in your environment, you first need to enable this particular option in Windows, which is the Windows Subsystem for Linux, right? You have to enable this one here. So to get started with, you really need to open PowerShell. And I'm going to open PowerShell here as an administrator, just to make sure that will not be blocked for permission when enabling that option over there. And when using, where's my mouse? Mouse disappeared. There's a mouse. And when using the environment in here, you always have this option here, this copy option, where you can get this whatever command is in there. Not always. Let me rephrase that. You're gonna see sometimes, depending on who authored the content, they may or may not have your code in these boxes. In this case here, they do. So I'm gonna just do a copy here and go back to PowerShell and paste this guy here. As you can see, it just pasted it over there. Enable Windows for Windows optional feature. This is a command line way to go into the control panel and enable this element. So again, it's a two-port thing, right? One is the kernel itself that will support whatever flavor of Linux you want to have. And then you're going to have the Linux installed from the marketplace. Let's just wait for this guy here to finish. While this is going on, let's go take a look in here. One of the very interesting things they have done for us in order to select which distribution we want to run in our Windows environment is that they have made it available, the installation, made this installation of the environment available from the Windows Marketplace, the Windows Store Marketplace. It's not like, when you need a software, you go to a site and download it from the site. So if I need Ubuntu, I go to the Ubuntu website and download a particular Ubuntu version and install on a VM. If I was doing a VM from ground up, that would be the way of doing it. But this one here, because this is integrated with the Windows environment, the way to install it is actually going to the Windows Store, Microsoft Windows Store, and downloading it from there, right? Select it from there. And this steps in here, they mention that particular process, and this is a screenshot of it. So let's go ahead and take a look on that, how that works. My mouse is running away from the other one all the time. So let's go over here. And as you can see here, I have a shortcut for the Microsoft Store, Windows Microsoft Store, right here on my taskbar. If it doesn't show up there for you, you can just type store here, and it should show up in here for you. For some reason, the icon did not show over there, but I'm gonna click anyways, and here I am. And from here, what we do is I just look for Linux, right? I look for the software I want to install. The other day I was looking for a DVD software. I want to play a DVD on my computer. Like I have a DVD image, I need to play that DVD. So I came in here, type DVD, and I see a bunch of DVD player softwares because Windows doesn't come with that anymore. Most laptops don't have DVD players anymore, right? But if you need a software for that, you can get one from here, and it may or may not require a license, may be free or maybe licensed, depending on what you get. So in this case here, I don't want to watch a movie right now. I want to install Linux. And if I just search for Linux, I'll see there are multiple distributions. You see, I can install any one of them on any version. Just come in here and pick it up. For this particular session, they suggest that we do the Ubuntu one. It's very popular for developers. I do Ubuntu for Node.js from time to time to do some testings on my own stuff and to develop for the Linux environment and do my tests on some code that I need to get running some other platform. It's a good one to have. You can do SUSE. You can have more than one if you want to. Just pick one and install. So I'm going to go ahead and get. And this is the point. Oh, I did not check my PowerShell. I hope PowerShell is completed. No, I don't want to restart my computer right now. Thank you. Leave it there. Restart needed. Yeah, I'm going to go to try that restart later. And this is the point where I cross my fingers because live demos, they tend to break. The demo gods, they don't like you much, especially when you are doing it really live. So hopefully this one here will not break. If it does, I have a backup plan here on my sleeve up here. Let's see why it's doing that. Let's see if there are any questions going on here. Let's see. Hello. Okay. Where's my mouse? Here. So here's a question. If I can get there. Comment and click on the thing. Well, I'm clicking here on the question. It should pop up on the screen, but for some reason it is not. So I'm going to read the question here. I don't know if this was covered already, but what's the difference between WSL and running in something like Ubuntu itself? Thank you, Rina, for clicking on the question for me. I clicked on it. It did not work from my end. I think you're going to be doing that from you, Rina. All right, so what's the difference between one and the other? Depending on what you're doing, the application may or may not be supported because on the Linux subsystem, only the CLI is available, right? It's meant to support the CLI only. So any X Windows support that you have for Linux, any flavor, will not work on Windows. You have to use Windows applications for Windows graphic user interface. So if you want to use the graphic user interface of Ubuntu, you have to have it in a VM. But if what you're doing is just development, and usually web development, because then is the browser that does the UI, right? It's not a particular API running the Windows box, but the Windows Chrome frame. So if you're doing web applications, you can have your Windows environment supporting your Linux development. That's the main difference, right? Basically, two of them. One, the Windows integration does not support graphical user interface native to Linux, only CLI, and does support integration for web applications. So it's lightweighter, it's one place. If it's all CLI, it really doesn't matter which way you go, right? If you're using straight from Ubuntu or from the Linux subsystem. I mean, straight from a VM running a flavor or from the Windows subsystem. All right, so that was, what did you say again? From what did you say again, user? Okay. English Canada works. Thank you. You tried that. Perfect. What else? Any more? Oh, another question here. If you had more than one Linux type, how would you switch between them in WSL? It becomes an option here. See, now that my one is installed, I can come in here on my, where is my mouse? I can come in here. Here's my mouse. And if I type here Ubuntu, I think it's because of the reboot that's requiring. I would see here the logo from Ubuntu and the app. And when I click on this guy here, it pops up there for me. First time I'm running, probably is requesting that reboot. Let's see. Ubuntu. What is the reason? Failed error. Windows Subsystem for Linux component is not enabled. Yeah, is requiring that one. So this is your answer, right? You would have more than one distribution. Now I got the icon there. You would have more than one distribution here. You would click whatever distribution you wanna run. All right. So this means I will have to do the reboot. So let's do the reboot just quick in here. Restart. And because I'm using that VM up in the clouds, I will not lose you, right? I'm connecting through my local laptop in here. So while that is rebooting, let me go ahead and check if there are more questions in here. All right, so I hope that answered that question. Good luck, Armando. You can get this live demo to your mining. All right. All right, cool. Very good. No more questions there on the list. That virtual machine should pop up super quick. So because it's running in the cloud, my other computer is in the cloud. Let's see if it's already back here. Remote desktop. You cannot see that because I'm running in the other window here. Let's double check if it's back or not.
While we wait, there was a fun question saying, where did you get your shirt?
Oh, this shirt? I didn't see that one. So back in the days before pandemic, when we used to have conferences, in-person conferences, they're started coming back. I had been in two this year already. But this one I got at Ignite, Microsoft. I think it was either Microsoft Ignite or Microsoft Build that just happened 2 weeks ago. But it was virtual, right? When it was back, when it was in person, these sponsors, Microsoft had these things over there. So I just go by and collect them all like there was no tomorrow. I have a collection of them. You don't want to see this.
They said it was nice too.
Thank you. All right, my computer is back. Let me move my screen from this monitor to this one over here. There it is. And hopefully that will do it for us. Yeah, my other computer is in the cloud. So it's faster than the one that I have here, kind of the same amount of memory and so on. But sometimes, especially after enabling some Windows operating system, it may take a little while. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to leave that guy running over there. I'm going to use it's trying to come back. Let's see. And full screen, please. Okay, better. Okay, let's see if that goes. See, my mouse is still spinning, doing whatever, thinking about life. So let's do this, and let's do this, and hopefully it will work. Yeah, that looks better. So you see, these steps I have just made, they are there for you on your on Microsoft Learn, which means that you can try these things on your own later, right? And you may go over the same process, right? If it's not enabled already, you may have to reboot your computer and so on. So let's see, which browser was it? Which browser I had opened before? Don't remember. Let's try this guy here. It's supposed to open up my pages. Yeah, there we go. It did open up my page. Yeah, remembers what it was. So let's get this guy back in. And let's keep browsing there. So we've been through this, no biggie, 1x1. And we just did this. And we chose the Ubuntu distribution to get installed from the Microsoft Store. And off we go. After that distribution, okay, let's open it. I just tried to open it. Let's see how it's going over here. Yeah, it's taking longer. So I'm going to leave this one working here, and I'm going to switch to my local computer. You won't see me doing this, but I'm doing pretty much the same thing I've done over there, which is clicking on the Ubuntu icon on my computer from the start menu, and then it pops up. See, kind of the same screen here. I have the dark mode on my local laptop, so that's why I have a dark bar. Sorry, a bar over here. So while this guy is trying to do this thing here on the virtual machine, and live demos are like that, right? Sometimes you have to wait for the thing to happen. Oh, there you go. Now it's back. So let's type something here. My name, my password for this. Let's see if I can type the same password twice. I am. Yeah, there we go. So, ladies and gentlemen, here we are. We are running Linux. We're running Linux on top, not on top, side by side with Windows, as you have seen on this diagram here. Let me bring back my PowerPoint here just quick so you can have that idea again. See, Linux was just enabled and a particular flavor installed. So now I have the Linux kernel through the PowerShell command and a particular Linux flavor, and they are running side by side, right, on top of the same operating system. So it's not on top of Windows, but on top of the same hypervisor, the same hypervisor. This is what you guys are seeing here right now. Perfect. Let's keep going, having fun here. Let's see what else can we do. One of the exercises they have here for you is like, I just downloaded a particular flavor, Ubuntu. Which version? The icon that I clicked in there in the Microsoft Store downloaded the latest version. And if there is an update for this version, it will not update it automatically, right? My computer will not update automatically. It will not push distributions or updates to my distribution. That's more for stability. Most of us who works on Linux, we like to stay on a particular version and only move to the next version when we are comfortable, or have many of them side by side. So in case you need to do some sort of update, here's the statement for the update, right? And they kind of show you, yeah, that's a way of doing it. So this one is nothing to train right now. If you want to, there is possible, like they mentioned here, it's possible to create a particular distribution of yours, and you can have yours packed in a way using Pico. packed in a particular way to install on this fashion, right? In this particular fashion, instead of running a full-blown VM. All right. Okay, let's try some tricks in here. Let's get connected to the CLI. Here we are connected to the CLI. And I think I have it over here still, right? Yeah, still there, the CLI. Let me do a little side-by-side in here, see if that helps with our learning. Oops, sorry. I grabbed the wrong I grabbed the wrong window. You stay there and you come here. There we go. And you on the other end. Perfect. That will help us following along, right? Again, all these tricks you can do on your own computer. Cool. So this PWD works in here. Of course, this is Unix. What are you talking about? PWD is right there. Home, Illustrator. So this volume here, the root volume, the home volume, they're mounted in particular folders on the Windows operating system. So you can check the links there later. Are there files in my home folder? It doesn't look like there is, but if I ask to see them all, oh yeah, there are some hidden files in there. And as you can see here, Linux style, because this is Linux, right? This is actual Ubuntu running there. And some configuration elements in there. Very nice. What else do I want to see here? I'm already there in the folder. Of course, you're not going to read there. Like I said, right? I'm not going to read there for you. You can do your own reading later. I'm just going to run the commands and go over what they do. In this case here, they are, through the steps, they're asking you to create a working folder just to have the files you're going to download and the elements you're going to install on your environment for this particular learning path on a particular folder. So when you're done with this, you just erase the folder and your environment is wiped clean, right? So yeah, so let's go ahead and create that folder there, mkdir. This is again Unix environment. I mean, I'm not going to emphasize that this thing here is Unix because we all know it's Unix. So the commands we're using here are bash commands, right? Linux bash commands. Learn WSL. Don't forget that the CLI is case sensitive. So if I do like ls learn and press the tab key, it does not autocomplete. And I don't know if you can hear it beep, say, hey, I cannot find any file or folder that starts with LEA. Actually, there's one in there, but the case is wrong. So if I do the right casing, then I press the tab key on my keyboard, it all completes for me, right? So the tab key is your friend on the environment, it all completes for you. And there it is. And again, case sensitive, like any Unix environment would be. Most of them. I think there is one that it's not. All right, so that's that. What else? Yes, so can I create a simple web page here, right? A simple HTML file here. Sure, why not? Let's go there. Learn. You see, it doesn't like when you do it the wrong casing. We have this Linux command here called touch to create a file, an empty file, right? To create an empty file. So WSL rocks HTML. When I do this, it just creates the file there. The file is empty. There's the file. And now if I want to, I can use a particular source code editor, like they're gonna show you, direct you here to use one. There is Nano. Those are built in the Linux environment, right? You can use Nano, you can use VI, you can use Vim. Could you use something on the Windows system? Yes, we can. I'm trying to get in there. I will get in there in a few when you use Visual Studio Code to interface with this. So for now, within the Unix environment, within Ubuntu, I can do Nano and my WSL file there. And now I have the editor open here for me. On the instructions in here, they have the code. So of course, I'm not going to type the code. They're going to put in a clipboard, get back in here. And Control V will not work, all right? You have to use your mouse and I use a humongous trackball in here, you got to do the right clicking there so it pastes the content there for you, right? Control C, Control V in the Unix environment, they're captured for Unix. The Unix environment use those combinations, so you got to use the mouse in here. And yeah, and with that, we can just get out of here, save this file, Control X, and down here, you see it's asking me, oops, whoa, my mouse disappeared. There we go. You can see down here, there we go. Down here at the bottom, that's if it is asking me if I want to save, yes or no. And again, you have used the keyboard, right? Yes or no. Mouse doesn't click in there because it's not a graphic user interface environment. So yes here, save it. Save modify file, yes. It did save, hopefully. Live demos. There we go. Let's see if it saved my file correctly. Yeah, that's my file, and my file got some contents, and I can do cat WSL. Just make sure they're thinking there. Yes, everything is in there. It seems it added a space to my file name. Let me double check that that space is not there. Otherwise, my next demo will not work. So let's rename this guy WSL with a space to WSL rocks HTML. Okay, it seems to be okay. All right, let's see if that flies. All right, perfect. So now we have our environment in there. Down here, yeah, down here there'll be some exercises where you can use your command prompt and call the Linux subsystem from there. Let's see if the integration is already there. Like if I go CMD here and do WSL ls, see it shows me the content of my particular folder. If the Windows subsystem for Linux is available from the command prompt, I can do this, right? There are some new ways of doing these things. Let me see if my virtual machine.
Sorry to interrupt. Is there any way you can increase the font size in the terminal?
In the terminal.
The terminal
Yes.
window? Thank you.
Good call. Thank you very much. Let's see if I can move this away here. And here on edit, actually properties. Oops. Usually my guide is like, if I can read without my glasses, it should be okay. So how about now? Is it better?
I kept muting myself. Yes, thank you. It looks good.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, so there are some interface right in between the Windows, the WSL, and the Windows environments. Those connections in there. If I go back to that PowerPoint here, just quick, is this arrow here you see over here in this design? So there is some communication, some API communication between these two. There are multiple supports for that. Visual Studio Code will use that as well in multiple ways. The point is, there are some CLI commands you can do from the Windows command prompt and from the PowerShell command prompt as well. So in this case in here, what else do we do here? You can also run Linux distributions. So you can do WSL from here and you get the prompt. So if we do WSL from here, I get the CLI right from the folder where I'm connected. And again, do whatever I want to do through the CLI from here. Exit goes out and it's all good. Yeah. And then we have some extra steps in here that you can use. There is a good tip in here for you on the step number 4. You can use this locate learn MSL to find where the directory of this guy is, or any other folder you come to create, right? So there is this command here, locate, so you can see in the disk where a particular folder is on either side of the OS, right? On the Windows side or the Linux side. So it's a good tip there for you. What else? Run Windows tools from WSL and mix commands. Yeah, so you can do Notepad, you can do ipconfig from Windows side, in the Windows side, right? You can call those from the CLI side and vice versa. What about Python? Can I use Python? And of course, the answer is yes, right? Python is a very popular language in both environments, Windows and Unix. And I think Ubuntu already comes with one. So if I go here on Ubuntu, do Python 3 version, it should be there. There we go. Python 3 right here, right? Python 3.8.10. So already installed over there. It came with the Ubuntu installation when I asked to install Ubuntu. So Python's already there for me. And here's an example we can use Python. If I just call it again and go to the Python command prompt and try one of the Python commands, hello world, off it goes, right? We get the result right there, right? So, yep, fully functional Python element in here. Let's just get out. And we are back to the command prompt. Oh yeah. Just for the sake of it, let's go and do these extra steps in here so you can see how you can do that on your own later, right? So in this particular ones, you see these steps here on the Linux side, they don't have that copy and paste on this guide. For some reason, they decide not to. Perhaps to make sure that you're paying attention to how things are really supposed to get done. So here we are creating a variable X with the value of 1, variable Y with the value of 2, and doing a little math, X plus Y, and we get the result in there, regular Python code. Very good. Okay, let's keep going over here. What else do they have in here? We can view file created early in this one. Armando, exit, got the parentheses, don't forget. CLS doesn't work in here, it's clear. And ls-l, -l for my files. Yeah, my file is still there. So if my file is still here, I can see on the instruction here, they're like, when you install the Python environment, it does come with mini web service. That can publish web content in there for your test. So you're creating a website, you can do your own test from there. So here we go. We can do that one, Python. Man, I cannot type. Try again. Python 3 and my library. HTTP server. And let's get it going. So this one here is the first time I'm doing this. So the firewall was like, hey, are you sure you're publishing a firewall over there? This is a virtual machine, public on a web, buddy. Yeah, okay, no problem. Let it go. And notice that it's listening on port 8000. So if I go here and open another tab on my browser, HTTP, actually if I do localhost 8000, and ask for my file, WSL rocks. HTML. There we go. So I did hit the file, got the file in here, my first paragraph right there, and it showed me, hey, there is a hit. Someone just hit from your local machine, just hit your page that you have in this particular folder because I'm running from the folder, right? If I run from a different folder, it would not work. So there you go. My file, yeah, I've just presented my file over there. So everything working as it's supposed to. The demo gods are happy with me. Everything is working. Right. That seems to be a node screenshot of that. Let's keep going. So the next portion of this, the next step in here, see we're unit 4 out of 8 of this particular learning path to get the Windows Subsystem working for you. On this one here, we're gonna do some installation. We're gonna bring in Node.js. So Python is already there for us, but Node.js is not. So in this module here, they're gonna show us how we can install, download packages using multiple package managers, depending what you want to do, right? What distribution you're doing, what you want to do. So you can do apt or apt-get, or you can do through curl, or using npm. Either way you can do it here. It's a regular Ubuntu distribution. So like I can see I'm a horrible typist, so I'm gonna try. But usually, if you want to save time, you can just highlight this thing in here, right click and copy. And down here on the terminal, on the CLI, is just right click and paste the whole thing there for you, right? Control C doesn't work in there. A lot of people who come into this for the first time, they got lost with the Control C. They mess up stuff because Control C is a regular keystroke, so it may be add up to some commands, and then things don't work. Because this is the first time I'm doing sudo in this session, is asking for my password. It's not going to ask it again. I just got curl installed on my environment, which is great. What else? Use curl to ensure that you get the recent version of Node.js. So it starts from here. Let's grab this guy. Here's a little tip for you. Let me zoom in on this guy here. When you copy and paste these things from here and they are not in that box I showed you earlier, make sure you understand that whatever is not highlighted is you're not to paste it over, right? So this last dash in here can have meaning, and would have meaning if I paste it inside the terminal window. So make sure you do not type or paste anything that's not highlighted. I was, helping somebody else with this one here the other day, and the guy was like, "Oh, this period here is not working." Yeah, that was not supposed to be there. So right-click, copy, and right-click, paste, and off it goes. Look at this. Installing my things. And what is this one installing? It's installing Node.js through the using curl method, right? Doing it through curl. If I go down here, they're gonna use apt-get, and this one here using npm. So let's go ahead. Yeah, it's coming. Okay, done. Installed successfully. How cool is that? Not a failure. Let's try this one here, copy, and paste it in here again. It is that easy, right? And again, what we're doing here is something you need to do if you're going to do development on the Linux environment. You're gonna have an environment. Python is already there. A lot of people do Node.js development, so you're gonna need this packages to support your development. And off you go, right? That's why we're doing this. Node.js would not be there by default. Funny thing, this guy is taking longer to do some of the tasks. The cloud must be busy there. Processing triggers. All right, so okay, finished. One last one here to do it using npm. Make sure all methods work. So you feel comfortable doing either way when you're doing development. So everything is in there. Now we can check the environment check the installed packages from all environments we have just worked on. So you can do like node by itself version, and see that's particular node bits going on in there. Through the npm, the package version for the npm is that particular one over there, and the express, which was through curl here, if I can type, is also installed in there. So depending what environment you are, they're all there, ready to go, good to execute your code. On this second portion here, of this step, they're going over some subjects in there, elements you can use, a lot of options you can do to do your development in the environment. So no big deal over there. Here, they're just going to do some functional tests on the environment by using the command line of the node environment. So let me clear the screen here, call node. And what OS are we using? What is the OS platform in here? And it says, look at this, how beautiful it is. Node understands it's running on Linux, not on Windows, right? It's really a Linux front end, right? A Windows interface, a Windows API, a Linux API supporting the platform. So that's why when you do containers and these things, you don't have to worry about VMs, have a lot of memory. Like when you do VMs, you have to allocate some memory for that VM, and it's up way more memory than this one would, right? At least 4 gigabytes more than this one would. So it creates a way better environment to work and develop and do developments. What else do we have in here? What's the OS architecture? And it's a 64-bit architecture. Perfect. What are the available CPUs on my remote machine? I got quite a few. Look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8? I think it's 8. Yeah, so all the descriptions in there, the clock they go, very nice. And again, to get out of here, exit without the command prompt. Without the parentheses on this one. Clear, let's create the screen, and all done. That's how easy it is, right? You see, in like 20 minutes, we got the whole environment working for us. We got the development platform working for us, and everything is fully functional there. My last step in here actually is going to be just having, they completed down here, is just having, for fun, have a website in there out of the, from ground up, right? Just using the Express framework creator. So let's go ahead and create one here for us. Express hello world. If I can type hello world with this option here. So just, you see, I'm in the Learn WSL folder, and it just created this other folder here for me, hello world, with the basic content for rudimentary websites. So if I do cd hello world, right there, right? If I do cd hello world and take a look on the folder in here, I can see the other folders, files and subfolders that were created. Now, like any Node.js, there are package dependencies on this particular template that are just pushed into this folder in here, which means I need to bring those packages, right? I need to install or download those package dependencies. So let's go ahead and do that. And it's bringing all the dependencies in there. I love this, right? It's just a regular Unix environment, development environment. So cool. And in here, an npm list to see the tree, that got downloaded for me, right? All the dependencies that got downloaded for me. If you have done Linux development, you are very familiar with this. All right, so time to test. Now that I have a basic website going on in there, my Hello World website, what I did with Python, now I'm gonna do with the Node environment, right? I'm gonna have the website running here for me. And here, the step 4, that's exactly what they do. What is not clear here is that you have 2 commands in here, right? You have a variable creation that will tell the environment where the root is, and the files that are available for browsing, and that you want to keep track of the hits going to these files. So there is a variable creation going on over there. Debug hello world star. Yeah, and then we start the actual website. So again, my firewall here, hey, now it's open a different port. It's not using the same port. The other one was using port 8000. This one here, I think, is using port 3000, which is not actually showing here, but it is. So we let it go. Yeah, and then they're here. It stays down here. So let's go ahead and browse that one. Localhost, not 30,000, 3000. And there we go. We just hit it in here. Welcome to Express. And how long it took for the round trip to collect in there. If I do this one again, it should be faster because it's already in the cache. There you go. Gets faster and faster. So perfect, right? You see, that easy to get your website started, your environment started, right? The website was just to test if the environment is running. And that particular website was really running from my Windows subsystem, my Linux subsystem in parallel with my Windows. The last thing we're going to do here is going to have Visual Studio integrated with this environment. Before I get Visual Studio Code in particular, not the full-blown Visual Studio, right? But Visual Studio Code in particular. Before I get in there, let's see if I have any new questions going on here on the chat window. So which one was the last one that I read? Okay, I have seen this. Oh, I see it works. All right. Where do I get that? Oh, okay. Before times, I remember them well. Okay, perfect. If you have a few moments, please okay, this is you, Irina. Nice. There is one here. Could we increase the font size? I did. Thanks a lot better. Okay, so no more questions there in the chat window. Let's keep going here then and wrap it up. So let's stop this website here. If it comes back. All right. So for some reason, I'm in the wrong place. Where's my mouse? Here's my mouse. Click on this guy, Control C. Now it goes. Perfect. I was clicking on the wrong place. All right, so let's see if Visual Studio works in here as the last demo here and as a tutorial, right, for you to have your environment going. So Visual Studio, if I go back here to that diagram again, Visual Studio works on this side, right? Visual Studio is working on the Visual Studio Code. Let me be specific. Visual Studio Code is working on this side. If you are a Unix developer and you are working specifically on a Unix environment or on a Mac environment, there is a Visual Studio Code release specific for that environment. You can download and run there. You don't need to do this, what I'm doing here, right? Now, if you are working from a Windows machine, like I am right now, if I work from a Windows machine, if I'm working from a Windows machine, and from the Windows machine, you want to do some coding that will require interface with the Unix environment. As I said, if you're doing container development, right? If you're going to containerize your application, you're going to have Docker coming in and all of that, so you can have the WSL system connected with the Windows system and Visual Studio Code doing the interface for you and be your interface for both environments, for both areas, right? So it runs from here and it communicates to both ends from the Windows user mode. All right, so you should go and download Visual Studio Code. If you just Google the thing, right? Download Visual Studio Code. You should get the first hit here. Should be the page to download Visual Studio Code for Windows, for Linux, or for Mac, like I just mentioned. I have already downloaded mine, so it should be here. I do not remember what I had open, if I have any of my client's code on my Visual Studio Code in here. So just for the sake of privacy, I'm gonna open it here on a side on a screen here on the side, and make sure that we have a blank screen. There we go. Close this and get it there. Perfect. Let me get this back. So here's my Visual Studio Code. Let me do what I, oops. Beautiful, right? Let me do what I've done before. Get code here on the side, on this side. Perfect. So in Visual Studio Code, I'm sorry, in Visual Studio Code, once we install and get it ready there for you, you have this thing here on Visual Studio Code called the extensions, right? This particular icon here. Oops, that way. This particular icon here called the extensions. The thing about Visual Studio Code and some other environments, there are also created some code editors, right? They're also created based on the Emacs definition in there, is that they allow these modules, these extensions you can install and add new feature to it, right? So the actual code is really, the core of it is really bare. And what you're doing here, you just add the extensions you come to need. I do a lot of Azure development, as you can see here. I do a lot of Azure stuff in here. And for this particular exercise, they ask you to do the WSL for the interface with the WSL. So if it's not already there, I will install it right now, WSL. And it's right here. You see it? It's the first hit that show up in here. Be careful when you search for the elements in here. So they're talking about this one here in particular, right? But notice when I did that, there were a lot of some other ones that came along. Notice that this one here is the one published by Microsoft, and Visual Studio Code is a community. It does accept community contributions. So you have a lot of authors creating a lot of extensions, also based on the on this particular case here, something to do with the WSL. Now, what do they do? What these things here do? They implement some behavior. I have no idea what they actually do. And if you want to explore them later, you can click in here. Sometimes they have some descriptions, some animations going on about what this thing does. But the code in here is supposed to be safe, right? But again, it's developed by third party, so make sure you know what you're doing when you click from these guys. For our demo in here, we're going to install the remote WSL, which I just did. I clicked in there, and it's installed, right? It's already there. I got a blue mark in there. The install disappeared, so it's available there for me. Let me zoom in here because this font I cannot really increase. And now it's asking, right, what one you want to go? Get started with Windows, get started with the remote WSL, or open the WSL window. Well, let's keep moving here. Yeah, so get started with the remote SL. Let's get started with the remote, this guy. Open the remote menu. And here we go. See? Yeah, so in Visual Studio Code, what happens in here is all the commands in Visual Studio, if you're not familiar with, all the commands in Visual Studio Code, they are accessible through the command bar over here. You do have a menu over here with some commands that are exposed through there, but not all of them. All the commands are actually exposed through this one here. So if I want to get that command line that I have, my Ubuntu, right, that particular one that I had running before, if I want to get that one here from my Visual Studio Code, I can do one from Visual Studio Code or one from a particular distribution. So let's see if we can hear in distribution. It already detected that I have the Ubuntu distribution installed on my environment. So if I want to call the Ubuntu distribution from here, I just click on that one, and off it comes my another session of Visual Studio Code with the extension already installed, right? I already installed the thing. And my command, let me go to the other side here so you can see that down here, right? What is that? Just a message. You currently chose that one. Yeah, that's the one I want to use. And if I go control tick, right? That keyboard, that key on the keyboard, right under escape key on my US keyboard in here, I get my command prompt, and look at that. My command prompt is my Linux CLI right? My Ubuntu CLI running on a folder that's not my one, because I created one for the session, for the oops, one for the Visual Studio Code session, and then it gets all the comments from here. Once again, if I do an ls in here, I'm that folder I was there before, my home folder, and if I go back to learn, I see the content that I have placed in there before, and the Hello World website that I placed there before. Where is it? So there's my folder, perfect. What else? Yeah, I think this is it. So I'm here in the folder. If I go here into the navigator and start going around to browse my folder, I can see my folders. You see, because I just chose to go into that Ubuntu distribution that was there before, I can see all the folders that I have created. So if I go here into the WSL folder, it will open it there for me. Yeah, I trust this folder. And that is the file that I created there before. Remember at the beginning of this session, and I can see the file in here, and I can actually add the file here. So notice how beautiful this is. You are running a Windows application, the Visual Studio Code, that we just set it up to talk to the WSL for the Linux integration. So it's talking to the WSL and the command prompt. I have all the commands as you see, and I'm browsing the file system within the WSL storage, right, within the WSL mount. And I can do all my coding, all my editing from here now if I want to. Remember that website for the Hello World we created for NPM? I can do the whole thing from here. If I find here one of the files in there, here in the public, I should see some of my guys in here. Pretty empty. You got just a style sheet in here. Anyways, so I can get all my my elements in here, see my source code for my file, and start doing whatever code change I need to do in here, right? And that's the beauty of it. And this is what you're gonna do from here, right? You're gonna choose your elements in there. You may or may not want to have Git. Of course, you probably want to have Git there for your source code distribution elements. Down here, it's highlighting there. Here at the bottom, see, it tells me that's running Windows Subsystem for Linux on the Ubuntu distribution that we just installed. So it's putting there for me. If you have Git, I did not enable Git. So if you have Git, you would have the Git information going on in there for you. And once again, you have multiple commands here. If you do F1, yeah, if you do F1, it gets over here on the command bar, and then you can do your extension commands down here, right? Remote SL, and you can get your extension commands going there for you, right? You can choose whatever you want to do, show the logs, provide. Yeah, here's where you're going to explore. So this is where I'm going to leave you at. We just got Visual Studio integrated to work with that one. The next one would be getting the application and see the IntelliSense works. All the support for Node.js is available there for you. But we're running out of time, so I'm going to leave this last two modules here for you to try on your own. And as you can see, it's that simple to get started with. So the bottom line here, to wrap this up, is it's super easy to get the Windows Subsystem for Linux working on your own workstation or even on a VM in the cloud or not, like I just did on my one here, and get your environment going. And from there, you can do modern application development of not just doing websites like we just done. There's a simple way you could do this exactly the same thing we use just the Windows itself. But I can also do that. I can also do containers and a bunch of other things that are only available if you have the Unix environment working for you. And you don't have to have a virtual machine just for that. So I hope you learned something new from this session, and you get the value of using this. And most important, you get how to learn new tricks, new skills using Microsoft Learn website. All right.
With that, I don't see any new questions there on the chat window. Yeah, I don't see any new questions. Irina, do you see anything there?
I have not seen anything, but I am going to quickly hop on. We'd love to hear any feedback that you have, whether it's from the session or any future topics you'd like to hear about. Please visit our survey. You can find it in the chat or it's posted on the screen. For the specific event, it's 15880. Thank you to our speaker and thank you everyone for joining. We appreciate it. Until next time. Thank you.
Bye.